For several days, Amanda and Bill try to convince their toddler to eat.
Immediately, you assume that they're sick. There's something going on that's causing her to not be hungry. You can only go for so long without eating.
Amanda takes Isabella to the pediatrician.
The doctor examined her and didn't find any problems with her at all. Basically gave her a clean bill of health, that she was going through a phase. I was kind of reassured at first because it's kind of what I thought.
But over the next few days, Amanda sees Isabella's disinterest in food take an unusual turn.
I would just be cleaning up around the house, and she would just have a fistful of pretzel rods and literally just eat the salt off of them and lay the pretzel rods on the table. It was very surprising to see her do that. She didn't care for the actual food, she just wanted the salt off of the food.
And then, Isabella's cravings get even weirder.
We have a cat, and I walked into our kitchen area. Isabella was just sitting on the floor next to the cat food, and she was just shoveling the cat food into her mouth. She had her cheeks completely stuffed with cat food.
She won't eat food, but yet she'll eat cat food. You know, what's the deal?
It wasn't a normal thing. I mean, it just wasn't normal.
When he hears about Isabella's bizarre eating habits, Isabella's doctor immediately refers her case to an endocrinologist.
The doctor told me that the cat food does have a high amount of salt, and that her body might not be producing enough salt.
The doctor suspects that her salt cravings could indicate a serious disease and orders an array of tests.
The doctor was concerned about it, and they told me to let her have salt as much as she needs until we get the lab work back. It was scary to know that there could be something seriously wrong.
The Hilliers anxiously await the results of the blood work, and a few days after Christmas, they're in.
They told me that her white blood count was very elevated.
An elevated white blood cell count means that Isabella's body is fighting an infection.
There was definitely something going on, but we still didn't know what it was.
Test after test has come back negative. And what's more, the doctors have run out of diseases to test for.
That endocrinology department told us that there was something wrong with her, but that they couldn't help us in that field any longer. The whole field of medicine just told you that they can't help you. It's a little scary. On the inside, you're ready to just rupture.
For 2 months, Bill and Amanda take Isabella to a seemingly endless series of doctors.
We went from doctor to doctor to doctor after the endocrinology department.
She was very drawn, sunken eyes, skin didn't look good. She just really kind of looked like she was in a daze most of the time. The more that we saw doctors, they seemed to not know or care, would even suggest that there was really nothing wrong with her, and it was driving us nuts. If we couldn't find the answers with the doctors that we were with, we would find other doctors.
But countless examinations reveal nothing.
There is no words to describe how frightening it is as a parent to have a doctor tell you that they have absolutely no idea what's wrong with your child.
Meanwhile, they watch helplessly as their daughter slips away.
She's only taking in 2 cups of milk a day. That was the only nourishment she would get, besides salt.
Then, Bill and Amanda notice something even more disturbing.
She had stopped growing. It was very frightening that she was not making any more gains. She was actually losing ground.
For the past 4 months, the stunted toddler has remained at a constant weight of a mere 25 pounds.
I didn't know if we were going to find out what was wrong with her in time. She looked like she was dying.
Then one night, Amanda takes Isabella to her room.
I was getting her ready for bed, and I noticed that she had like a little mark on her back, which looked like a little bug bite, basically. The next day, I noticed that there was another one. I didn't think too much of it.
But the marks are spreading.
She would just scratch them, and she would scratch them like crazy. She would scratch them till they bled, and then scratch them some more. And all of a sudden, she has this rash that nobody can explain. It had to be related to what else was going on.
Suspecting an allergy, the Hilliers take Isabella to specialist Dr. Velma Pascal.
When I examined Isabella, I examined her eyes and her ears, her nose, her lungs. The only remarkable thing was her skin rash. They were not classic hives, but in some way looked more like what you would see perhaps with insect bites.
They did allergy testing on everything, from dust to eggs to animals to everything that they could test for.
And she was completely negative.
Again, we have no answers. So we're back to square one.
But Dr. Pascal is determined to discover what's wrong with Isabella and is intrigued by something in the girl's case history.
Her mother had brought in some previous laboratory tests from another hospital. The information that seemed most important to me was this significantly elevated eosinophil count that was 4 times above the normal limit.
Eosinophils are white blood cells that fight particular allergens and infections.
That was definitely a red flag. We did decide to order some more specialized blood work.
I don't hold out any hope because I've been down the road 50 times and it always comes back the same way.
But 4 days later, the blood results are in.
I called Isabella's mother and told her that Isabella had tested positive for a parasite called Toxocara canis.
Toxocara canis is a deadly roundworm that attacks several parts of the human body.
I was upset that something was inside her, that it was like controlling her. It was the scariest part of our lives.
I didn't want to consider the fact that this was as bad as I had feared that something could have been.
And I could still see a hint of death in her eyes.
Doctors treat Isabella with a powerful anti-parasitic drug called albendazole. As they wait for the drug to take effect, Isabella's parents wonder how Isabella contracted the parasite.
Toxocara roundworms live in the intestines of dogs. There, they reproduce, creating millions of roundworm eggs. The eggs are released into the environment in the dog's feces. When another dog ingests those eggs, the eggs hatch into larvae and mature into adult worms in its digestive system, completing the life cycle.
The immediate suspects were the dogs. Isabella likes to play with the dogs. She likes to take care of the dogs.
Dogs are essential to the life cycle of the Toxocara roundworm, but humans can be accidental hosts. Young children are most often affected because infected dogs excrete Toxocara eggs in the places where children play, like backyards, parks, or sandboxes.
We got our pets tested again after we found out her diagnosis, and they came back clean. It's possible that she picked up the parasite at the park. It's possible that she picked it up at one of her brother's baseball games. I really don't know where it came from.
5 months after Isabella finishes her medicine, her rash clears.